morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with MTI Wireless Edge. Today's host is Ofer Bismuth. He is their Director of Sales and Marketing in North America. He will be presenting today, and if anyone has any questions, Ofer will answer them at the end of today's presentation. Ofer, thank you so much for being with us today, taking the time to educate us further on MTI Wireless Edge and your product and services. Great to have you. The floor is now yours. You can take it on over.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ofer Bismuth, and I'm working with MTI Wireless Edge. I hope that everyone hear about MTI. If not, I'm sure that by the end of the presentation, you will hear more about MTI. So first of all, everyone understand that there is a huge demand for capacity, and I call it starving because really it's really more and more capacity is required, and we're talking about wireless with all the limitation, and we will talk about new technology, new frequency, new band, and everything. I will give you a short about MTI introduction and what are capabilities of MTI. We will talk more deeply on antenna selection, how you need to choose the right antenna, and of course, as was mentioned, we will have open question discussion if you need. After I will finish during the presentation, you can write email, but I can answer this in the end of the presentation. So the question is, how do you like your network? Fast, like this, or like the other one. The idea that most of the network today are changing dramatically, and everyone talking about a new technology, new band that it's available, and we will talk about them. The main idea is to give you more and more, capacity, and we will talk about what lead to capacity or what lead to starving. And you can see now a few of application that it's not new, yes, but everyone understand that the location and combination with the application, it's very you go now to any performance or any show today, everyone taking full video online streaming directly to Facebook and YouTube and everything. And today, or not today, but I think it was almost in the last 4 months. If we're talking about live streaming, everyone, aware about the Netflix. But I'm not sure that that Apple and Disney are going to be also like Netflix and going to have a full portfolio of on-demand video and movie and everything. So again, the demand it's very clear, okay, and by the way, it's going to grow. It's not going to be less than the before. So what's happened? The main idea that in order to support all of this capacity, you need more and more radio that support more, interface over the air, or I call it interface over the air, but the main idea that it's going to be more, let's say, complicated radio, okay? And of course, the radio must support by the antenna, and because the antenna is is the sensor, is the eye, is the ear of the radio. So we will talk about what's called a good quality antenna and why do you need it, but let's leave it for now. Now it's kind of overview. So what's happened about the technology? You can see that the technology now, it's already AX, everyone talking about AX. Recently, I heard that there is a new standard moving to 11B, BE. I don't know. Again, it's combination for this, the Wi-Fi C, which is going to be in the, in the 5G generation. So again, everything it's moving forward. The main idea the technology is moving forward. It's very clear to support the high capacity, high demand that is required everywhere. We're talking about very, high frequency wave solution, 80 gigahertz, 60 gigahertz, 20 gigahertz. The main idea is that in the access, when you have a lot of capacity, you need to support this in the backbone, in the trunking. So this is the technology just going now in the trunking, and everyone is using more and more. Now it's very common. You can see a lot of now company selling this product. Because the limitation of some of the frequency, and we want to increase the capacity, but we are doing this in tricky way. So you have the smart antenna technology. We'll talk about this. Fixed LTE, it's kind of now it's going with the CBRS, but it's also was a lot of buzzword, but now everyone waiting for the CBRS. It's a huge demand for CBRS today because the technology is very sophisticated. Not the technology, the implementation is very sophisticated. And today, everyone talking about the TV white space. We will talk about this as well. And of course, TV white space will follow. It seems like it followed the CBRS. The main idea of sharing frequency. So, for example, again, it's very old, but it's moving from wave one to wave two. You can see how much demand you have how much it's going to grow. And if you go now to, for 1.3, now it's 3.5 gigabit per second. And if you go to 11 AX, so you can see the capacity. It's going to combine 2.4 and 5.8 in the same, and you can see the capacity here. And the QAM, of course, is growing, and everything, huge capacity. So the main idea again, the technology is changing in order to support the demand for the capacity. So what's happened? You can see this is, by the way, from Xerox, but now Xerox is part of Cambion, as you know. So the main idea that you need more and more radio that it's 8 ports, 4 ports, 3 ports, and this is very clear required for antenna technology. Of course, it must be more sophisticated. You can see now, for example, moving on the same model from 8 to 16 radio. You try to understand that this radio need to be the same size of the antenna. So what's happened that the antenna must be more complicated, and there is a lot of issue with antenna. So one of the things that we try to solve, the radio vendor try to solve the capacity on the same given area, and because also frequency it's very limited, and sometimes it's very expensive. So what's happened that there is a idea that to develop a smart antenna, which the main idea is to try to see where is the requirement for the capacity, or where is the customer, or what is the demand from this customer or this customer, and try to be more efficiency instead of broadcast or getting everywhere. Try to be more focused on specific direction. So the main idea of, again, the result is to increase the capacity, the coverage, because if you can, if you can, let's say, point to a specific direction, you can increase the coverage, increase the direction, the maximum gain, link quality, interference, reduce the interference, of course. And the main idea that you take antenna, you build a few elements inside, and each element can be controlled by the radio, and the radio know how to do the switching by getting feedback from the field. So there are few technology. I'm not going to go about of them, but the main idea, there is more sophisticated, which everyone is going to a simple one that was before. The simple one is just, you switch the lobe here. You can see you switch the lobe where is the signal. The phase array, it's more complicated. You can increase, in order to support and ignore the interference or the direction. or you can adaptive array, which is more, more common. You can do more, let's say, on the same time. You can do more and more customer based on, the direction. So the main idea, as you can see, it's not transmitting 90 degrees, 60 degree fix, but making this more flexible to the customer. Again, everyone is doing this today. Even the 5G is the LTE is doing the same idea. Cambion are doing this. Radwin is doing this with the Jet. So everyone is going to this direction. It's very clear. So we will talk about the CBRS a little bit. The CBRS in general in the US it's called 3.65 spectrum, but today it's going to be from 3.3 up to 3.7, and as I mentioned now there is a new band called C band that they want also to have the C band from 3.7 up to 4.9. So the main idea that this frequency, this band, sorry, spectrum was used by the Navy. So in order to allow other, vendor to use the same spectrum, they build a very sophisticated system. The main idea that most of the major carrier in the U.S. are going to have auction about this to get priority from about this spectrum. But the main idea that it's very easy also for a lot of carriers for the local access because 3.5 have a lot of benefit, from near line of sight and also capacity. It's very it's very good, let's say, band for coverage and capacity. So it's the main idea. It's a share spectrum assignment. The main idea that you have kind of server that to calculate. Based on location, how to calculate, what frequency available, what is needed, and he give to the CPE or to mostly what kind of frequency you need to use and so on. Once it's finished, okay, the channel is going to be free again. So what the main idea that maybe on the same area, few people can use the same frequency in different type. This is very sophisticated. And now I think there is a CommScope and another two company that operate this kind of server, very sophisticated. So a lot, again, as I mentioned, private operator want to get to this access because this is going to be a very good solution for the access. Okay, so this is CBRS. You have a lot of info today. It should be, because it was so sophisticated, they need the database, so it was late, but I hope that during October we will see more, let's say, commercial available pilot for larger, customer, 500 and higher. So again, it's very, very hot product, issue or subject in the U.S. now. TV white space, it's a different issue, but it might follow the same idea of the CBRS. The main idea that between the TV channel today, it's existing spectrum. Okay, there is a white, let's say, noise. Okay, so what's happened that everyone said, why we need to spend a lot of band? We can use the white noise and we can put data instead. So one of the leader of this solution, it's they gave a lot of money and they making finance of a lot of project. It's Microsoft. The program called Airband. If you look in the Microsoft Airband, you can find a lot of information. And this give the money, okay? And the motivation is that the TV white space in respect, if you're talking about the CBRS, it's much higher coverage, because the frequency is very, it's really can go over 3 building and a lot of, a lot of things that the CBRS cannot support. So in one reason, there is a lot of coverage and there is money, but again, because the frequency, it's not, the band, there is a limited capacity, okay? But the main idea, it's, if area that you don't have any solution for connection online, so TV widespread might be a good solution for them. Again, it's also a lot of buzzword, a lot of company going inside. So you should follow this, and there is already radio outside. Of course, MTI has a lot of antenna for this. So again, it's going to be, I think, in the next few months, going to be also very hot solution. What does it mean, MIMO, okay, or MIMO, whatever? In general, you take a radio 2x2, or maybe you can have dual pole or dual slant, which means if dual pole is VNH, dual slant it's you rotate the VNH by 45, so you got plus minus 45. It's coming from the mobile. This is, for example, 4x4. You have 4 ports. In order to make a good separation between the ports, so one of them is V and the other one is H, and you have a dual slant as well. Okay, the main idea is to have a good separation between the port in order to avoid interference. So I will be back in the technical. Allow me to give a few words about MTI. MTI is kind of leadership for so many years. We started in the military. We are now doing a lot of commercial, including RFID, and our let's say our marketing. It's a very niche market, which means we give a very quality antenna, and the main idea that quality antenna, I will explain about this, will direct to a good performance coverage, capacity, blah blah blah, everything. We are very strong in OEM market. We have a lot of OEM market. In general, MTI divided by two different business units. One is the defense, which is very growing. Unfortunately, the world is getting worse in this kind of more and more. Company need more. Airplane and so on, and I don't know, drone and everything, that now it's growing market and everything. And in the commercial, which I belong, there is the wireless application, and there is also RFID. It's a different world, but we have also hundreds of portfolio of RFID, very good market share also in RFID. So what user are used for MTI? Mostly they are using this for point-to-point, point-to-multipoint, different kind of broadband wireless access, TV white space. We have a lot of customers that are using this for trackside, rail, video, LTE, and of course back small cell backhaul, which means that as I mentioned before, the higher band frequency required for the backbone, for the trunking. In general, I just gave you idea what is antenna. It's not, there is the radome, very specific material for radome, gasket to give you the IP67. In general, you have this because it's a dual polarization, as you can see, 2-port N type. So you have two different, PCB inside circuit, and the circuit is the most smarter solution. Of course, everything need to be accurate. The height of the PCB from the ground. This is the ground aluminum, and the height from the radome. Everything is going to be, this is the reason that you can see spacer and everything. So everything done by simulation and testing, and testing in the lab in order to get the most performance. In general, to develop a new antenna, it's a process between 3 months to 10 months, depend on the complexity. So this is the development until we give to the customer the final product. So we have a very nice portfolio of base station, sector, subscriber, Omni, enclosure. We will talk about is very mature mounting kit. A lot of customers are using the mounting kit for other radio. Different kind of frequency, as I mentioned before. Now this frequency going to 4.2 now. We have also the D band, which going over 100 gigahertz. So you have a lot of frequency that we support. This is the TV white space, for example. This is more LTE, and the 900 it's almost dead. This is in Canada, but again, we have a very nice portfolio, as you can see. And of course, we have few antenna that going now up to. You will hear more and more about this up to 7 gigahertz. I think it's for point to point. So you will hear more about this as well. I think few customer already, our customer OEM already released a radio in this frequency. About the dish, again, we have a very nice portfolio dish. Most of our antenna it's flat, but in the sophisticated solution, we talk about the dish in CBRS dish, in 5.8 dish, in the E band, and of course we have the V band 60 gigahertz as well. So you can see different kind of solution. Again, it's 80 gigahertz with a very sophisticated bracket that need to handle also the radio. The radio, it's mostly because it's M-Wave, it's the radio connected directly, not via cable. So this is the enclosure solution. I'm not going to talk about this. The main idea that you can take, metal enclosure, put whatever you need your solution inside, and you can close it by antenna, as you can see here. So the radio, the equipment, it's protected by IP67. You can see the gasket. So you get a very, off-the-shelf solution for anything that you need with this enclosure. We have a very different version for the radio. So the first question that everyone is asking me, how much it costs? But it's a wrong question because really, if we check, we try to compare between different, let's say, vendor antenna. You will see that the difference, it's not thousands of antennas, of US dollars, sorry. It's, a few dollars, 10 US dollar, even sometimes it's even $50 for the same antenna. It seems like the same antenna, okay? But the problem is not the cost of the antenna, The antenna, we will talk about it, it's a very important part of the network, but it's not the major cost of of the project. So if I ask you how much it costs, okay, for example, different kind of installation, try to understand that each installation it's thousands of US dollar, each installation, because if you're wrong, you make the wrong decision of the antenna, you need to install again hundred of US dollar each installation, and we will talk about this. So the question is not how much it cost me the antenna cost. It's how much it cost me if I will do the wrong decision about the antenna in the future, if I need to go again and again to the field in order to solve the problem. So how much it costs you the reinstallation? So you're talking about thousands of US dollar, and I'm sure that everyone understands this is the price. Even it can go even to 10,000 to few additional US dollar. This is the difference. Again, if you check customer different kind of antenna from different vendor, the difference can be $10, $15 per antenna, but the quality it's really much different between the two different antenna. So we will talk now a little bit about the antenna parameter. Okay, there is the frequency, of course, that you need to define which frequency you want to work. The gain, again, the gain of the main lobe, everyone understands what is a gain, although you need to be very careful because sometimes it's typical gain, sometimes it's average gain. In general, it should be minimum gain. It means that if you want to make a network design, you need to know the minimum gain in order to make the right decision about when to locate the sector and everything. And let's go about the side lobe directly. Okay, so side lobe, it's very critical because what's happened, if you can see, sorry, there is a screen on my presentation. So you can see that this is the main lobe, okay, and this is the side lobe, okay. The lower the side lobe, okay, you have less interference from the environment. So in general, in any antenna design, you build the main lobe, and by default, you have a side lobe. The question is, how big is the side lobe? Okay, so there are some customers the requirement is almost zero side lobe, for in the first side lobe should be zero, and the second bar. So it depends on the planning. But in general, we plan that the side lobe is going to be very, very low in order to prevent interference. So if you have a Johnston sector, okay, so it can be even less, in coverage because there is interference that, goes in, to the radio to have a lot of noise. So what's happened that the coverage and the capacity is going to be very low. Mostly this is for the sector antenna, okay, not the directional. The second one, it's a front to back ratio, okay? Front to back ratio. It means that again, in the design of the antenna, you have the main and you have the back low. The ratio should be a very low, very high ratio because you need more of the of the capacity going forward, and the RF element should be transmit forward and not backward. And again, the main problem that if you have a sector and you have side by side, or you have back to back, or you have frequency reuse, so this is a very critical parameter. You need to ask what is the front to back ratio. It should be given by the spec, and and the I ratio it give you a better network capacity. So there is also another, because we talk about MIMO 4x4, 8x4. There is also the cross polarization and port-to-port isolation. The cross polarization mean what is the how much separation you have between V and H, or V and plus minus 45, and also between the port there is the isolation, the physical isolation that you doing by try to make a better antenna by the design. Again, if you look about the capacity, interference, if you are transmitting in VNH and you don't have a good separation, so another VNH can cause a lot of problem, in the interference. Again, this is part of the sector antenna design. A good OEM like Radbeam, Cambion, and other one, you must understand what they are looking for. Okay, so they know how to do the requirement, but most of the customers are not familiar with this, so they don't know that they can check the cross polarization and port-to-port isolation. And by the way, by default, you can find everything on the web, and if not, we can send you all the tests that we have done to this antenna in order to see, not only to get by the spec, the test, for your simulation too sometimes. So environment, it's very critical. We're talking about outdoor unit. You get 3 years warranty for MTI for the antenna. Try to understand 3 years warranty. The radome is very, very unique. We're talking about temperature, humidity, water, dust, a lot of things that you need to know, wind load survive. But this is an outdoor unit. It must support the best, and the best environment condition. And mostly, because we came from the military, we know how to do stuff, things for this. So what's happened if you have a bad selected antenna result? Okay, you can count and do coverage, throughput, reinstallation, consuming, customer channel, lower ROI. You can see a difference between two different antenna of the same design. One, you have less coverage, and you need more, sector in order to cover all the area or increase the sector. And we can see another example, which is a real example. Before it was just simulation, but this is a real example. You can see a Cambion network with, off-the-shelf antenna, 60-degree dual pole. You can see how much is is the coverage. You can see compare this to our antenna solution. You can see much better coverage, much better capacity. See the difference, and this is, by the way, from a customer side. and he bought thousands of these antennas. It's 60-degree dual pole, a very good cross polarization side lobe. So how much it cost? It's a good question, but you need to check, what is the performance, the ROI, the cost and benefit. Again, it's you need to compare, like everything in your life. When you want to buy something, you need to test, but to check what is the difference between the parameter. Now you know that there is a difference between the huge parameter that might affect your network. So this is, part of our, OEM partner. Of course, we have a much higher, and now Riverbed. It's, I mentioned before, it's Cambion. Everything it's moving, back and forward now. So in general, we have a new customer. We have, you know, things are changing very fast. Erspen now bought Mimosa. Everything is moving fast. Because the reason that many OEM chose MTI is because the quality. And this is the summary, my friend. And thank you for your time. Appreciate this.
Ofer, thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. I do have some questions for you from our audience members. I'm going to go ahead and start with the first one. We have a question here that says, regarding the signal adjustments, are they done manually on the device, or will it be done inside the device configuration page?
Mostly it's adaptive, doing by the radio. The radio, when you get a different kind of signal, to do the adaptation of the signal. Okay, there is two methods to do the combination between the antenna and the radio. Most of the people are going to the active component will be in the radio, and the antenna is going to be like a stupid antenna, but all they need to support all the options. So mostly this is done by the software from the radio. And by the way, most of the radio vendors are doing this today, from Rockus, Aruba, everyone.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ofer. Next question here for you. What is the MOQ for a custom labeled antenna?
Oh, it's a good question, because someone said I want to buy. Let's take it offline. Okay, in general, if there is only a custom label, we don't need to change anything in the packaging on the antenna. So the quantity is going to be low. I don't know, 50, 100. But if it's going to change, interface, like instead of SMA, they need cable and different kind of cable. So this is the different issue. But in general, I said 50 and up the quantity.
Thank you very much, Ofer. A couple more questions for you. Next one here. Do your antennas pair with third-party radios? For example, do they have an adapter that will allow another brand's radio to connect to your antenna?
I know that again there is a company that are doing radio adapter. In general, most of our antenna, the lower band, are connecting by cable. Okay, and the higher frequency, of course, it's Galbo, so it's connected. So the question is no, okay, because you need a cable N-type to N-type to connect to our antenna or something like that. I know that there's other companies that are using a different approach, but we don't have it yet.
Thank you for that, Ofer. Next question here for you. Just in case the enclosure could potentially damage the device inside, Can we reach out to your company and get it repaired? And if so, um, would MTI Wireless Edge pay for an expense like that? Can you tell us about that?
Okay, it's look, it's a good question. Okay, we cannot answer this in detail, but in general, I can tell you there is a customer that few customers that are doing very sensitive, job like rail in rail, segment. They're doing the trunking and the signaling, and they use MTI for I don't know more than 15 years. Okay, and in general there is no problem because the enclosure and the antenna and everything it's really give you IP67. It's proof. Okay, and the only issue that might be a problem if you open, and this is our recommendation based on really from the market case, if you open the antenna after I don't know 6 months, 1 year, 2 years for do maintenance or change something in the enclosure, we suggest that you replace the gasket. That's all. You replace the gasket because the old gasket it's not good enough now. Once you open it, try to understand it's rubber. So in general, we have an option to buy the gasket as a separate item and for maintenance. So yeah, the question is yes, we can guarantee that it's IP67 if you do the right installation procedure and based on I think thousands of installation. By the way, RFID are using this a lot of because they do a lot of they have their own application inside the enclosure. So to be honest, it's very common solution from different vendor. I think MTI can give you better solution because we have a flexibility of different antenna. But again, this should be answered more technically, by email. I think if they need.
Thank you, Ofer. No problem. Obviously, if more details are needed, we certainly can go into that. But generally speaking, thank you. Thank you for that overview of that answer. Last question here for you. Can you tell us about the warranty on the product and devices and just briefly touch on the process if someone wants to return something for repair?
Uh, okay, so in general, MTI give 3 years warranty. Okay, this is for the sector and the antenna as well. Uh, if you have a problem, and I can tell you really the number of times that I got a request to replace was so I can count them maybe into my finger of to my hand. But in general, we ask a picture, okay, and if we saw that the damage, whatever will be the damage, sometimes okay, we prefer to ship free antenna instead of going to the real procedure. The real procedure, according to the RMA that every company are doing, it's that you need to ship the item to MTI. We need to check and fix it, and then return on our cost the new antenna or the fixed antenna. The main reason that we sometimes again it's I don't remember that we take antenna to back and forward, but the main reason, maybe in the military it's more common, but the main idea that we are doing this is if there is any problem, a real problem that we understand that it's not one antenna, it's like going to be like a disease in the antenna. We want to find the root cause. So we want to understand what is the problem and how we can fix it. And we cannot do it by sending another antenna to the field. We understand that we need to learn what is the problem to find a solution, and then give them whatever need the solution in order to. By the way, we have one issue a long time ago with our dish antenna with a galbo. But again, we found a solution and we ship all the component in order to fix it. And again, it might happen. But again, in general, if we understand that this is a single antenna failure, we try to be more reasonable with the customer. Otherwise, we ask to ship it to our lab in order to test it.
Excellent. Thank you, Ofer, for answering all of those questions. And thanks for everyone attending today's webinar. And if anyone has any further questions, please feel free to contact your sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. If you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown here today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And remember, this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our YouTube channel so you can view it again. Ofer, thank you again for your wonderful presentation and your time with us today. Greatly appreciate it. And until next time, have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.